All right, wrestling fans. Kurt Klapier here with highschoolwrestlingmatches.com, and we're back with another high school wrestling podcast. This is actually our first of a series of Colorado podcasts. And last week, Fargo finished up. If you're a wrestling fan, you were following along there, watching the people you knew, watching the guys from your home state, hometowns. There, some of you might have even gone back to Fargo. But we thought it'd be cool to do a Fargo follow-up series and have some guys on that were there from different states and talk state by state about what happened for their state. And so tonight we're starting out with Colorado. We got to do a shout out and a thanks to AJ Rodriguez. If you're involved in wrestling on Facebook at all, then you've met AJ, at least online. And he put this first podcast together. We want to thank him. And also introduce our guest tonight here. His name is Jeffrey Estrada, but the people that know him call him So Ill. Isn't that right, Jeffrey?
Yeah, that's what they call me. Mostly the kids. Most of the kids know me as So Ill, and so the ones that the adults call me Jeffrey or Jeff. So I'm good with whatever.
Show your hat so they can see how you spell So Ill for the older generation.
For that old generation, I'm So Ill.
So Ill is your clothing line, right? You were telling me before the show started.
Yeah. It's one of three clothing lines that I work on. Funky Flicker Boys, and then Chuck Pony is a collab of me and an artist that we do all original art, unique stuff. Most of the stuff that you see that's done by me and Chuck Pony it's really an awesome collab that we do limited edition, 25 pieces only and stuff like that. So, but yeah.
That's cool. Well, thanks for being on tonight. And let's start out with a little bit about you. Where in Colorado are you? Where do you coach? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So currently I live in Parker, Colorado. We have a academy in Castle Rock, Colorado, and it's called Sons of Thunder Academy. Everybody calls it SOT Academy. We actually have a public school K through 12 where we do PE for wrestling. Or we do wrestling for PE, and it's kind of about 55 kids that go to that school. We train twice a day. Really focus on freestyle and Greco all year round. Our club is mainly a Greco club. As far as what we produce the most of is kids that love Greco. So we're kind of centrally located in Colorado between Denver and the Springs.
That's cool. Why did Greco become your specialty? Is that what you were good at, or how'd that come to?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in Granite City, Illinois. So I grew up under the tutelage of the Kurgans. They were really big in the Greco. Greco World team member George Kurgan and Alan was really big in the Greco. And so, I always had a passion for Greco. I really felt like it was an art. I was really into, artistic stuff. And I think Greco is something you can't train once a week. I think Greco, you got to train 5-6 days a week. You gotta really buy into Greco. People are scared of Greco. Greco's a lock and load. It's not something that you can scramble with. Guys scrambling are getting turned upside down. So, I just really see Greco as an art. And so, I just fell in love with it young myself. And when I got to Colorado, the OTC's right down the street. There's a lot of great Greco guys in Colorado. And so the more I was around guys like TC Dantzler, Joe Betterman, there's a lot of good Greco guys in Colorado. The more you get around those guys, the more you just start falling more and more in love with it. So, I would say our club's a good 60-75% kids want to do Greco. Even all year round they would. 10-year-olds that love Greco. They look forward to going to Fargo and doing Greco. So
that's one thing I think a lot of people don't realize is everybody trains really hard in folk style and freestyle, but for most people, they either don't do Greco at all, or it's just kind of a side thing to kind of just stay in shape and help with it. So the ones that do focus on it and really put in the extra time to become a technician in Greco really can excel. Would you agree?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think Greco is it's a lost art. And so the ones that do focus on it, they become great in it. I mean, Brennan Garcia, who won a Greco title at Junior 100s for Colorado, he was a great example. If you watch his interview, they say, what do you think about Greco? And he's just like, I don't really even know. He came down, trained with us probably 4 or 5 times in Greco, really picked it up really quick. Was able to pick it up in some matches and won a Greco national title. And I think now he has an appreciation for it and will train it more. But, it's something that guys don't even give it a chance. You know, a lot of the guys at Fargo only do Greco just to be working out so they can make the freestyle weigh-in. You know, they're not really putting the time that we see a lot of these guys, you know, like I see from Colorado. I mean, Colorado's cadet and junior Greco was really awesome. I mean, they took third in Greco, cadets did, I believe, for Colorado with 7 placers, you know, and the next up had 25 placers, 30 placers, you know. And so I think that Greco is something that if you're going to do it, kids buy into it and they give it their all. You know, they turn it into something as much as people train for folk style. And that's really the problem with Greco as far as kids not wanting to do it because they don't get exposed to it until they're in a cadet or junior, you know, level. And then it's kind of too late, you know. Right.
Yeah, this will never happen, but there's that endless debate of whether we should change high school wrestling to freestyle and Greco. And I personally am a fan of that. That maybe because I was better at those styles, but
I don't think you can say never, because I really truly believe that we're on the cusp right now of people being tired. America has a chance to win gold medals in all styles. The problem is we don't train it enough, and people want it to be popular. Then do freestyle and Greco in your high schools, because then you have 2 teams. You know, you have specialized teams, and it'll grow. I think the concept is not far off. I think as soon as women's Greco comes in, I think then you're going to start to see these high schools say, you know what, we like folk style, and it's all good for college and stuff, but we're going to start having a Greco. I mean, that's where our club's getting to. We're going to start specializing in Greco with 10 and 9 and 8-year-olds that want to do it, you know, and be successful with it at the cadet and junior level, and lay off folk style a little bit, and, you know, start traveling overseas with those younger guys so they get that exposure to it. I don't think we're far off. I know everybody feels like this will never happen, but historically, everything that ever happened was said it's not going to happen, right? I mean, right. Am I wrong there?
No, you're right. No, I'm a fan of it. I've thought that for a long time. I have brother-in-laws that are big into wrestling, and they just disagree with me. They think that the Midwest is too that they love their folk style. And
they do.
But I'm a fan of Greco and freestyle, and my brother-in-law actually here in Utah brought out. Have you ever met Ivan Ivanov? He was running the Michigan. He was running the Michigan team for a while for USA Wrestling, and now he's up in Boise doing the throwing dummies is what he does now, and those things like that. But anyways, my brother-in-law's dad's who brought him to Utah, and so he trained these guys in Utah, and they just focused on Greco. And so this has been a while. This was the year 2000. Utah had 5 national champs all out of the same club because they were training with this stud Bulgarian that was phenomenal in Greco, you know. So it pays off.
Oh, I believe so for sure. I mean, our club is at that point where we're kind of saying, hey, if you want to do Greco and be successful in it, let's focus on that and make Greco. You know, this year our club had Moshe Schwartz made the Greco World Team at 101, and you know he dedicated his entire season to Greco. Even in folk style, we were jacking people up with underhooks, finding a way to score with Greco. And, you know, I tell our club in the summertime is really odd because we do Greco 4 days a week, 3 days a week at least. And I tell the kids, you've done folk style all year. All you need to learn to do is create a better angle and freestyle, and you're good. So we don't really need to train that. But we haven't trained a lot of Greco, so we go in the summertime, we go into 3-4 days a week of nothing but Greco. I mean, that's my plan next year, is to just do Greco all the time. People that are good at folk style are going to be good at freestyle. That's just the pop. Tighten up a turn, learn a good leg lace. You're going to be successful. Greco's an art. We got to really hone it down.
All right. Well, sounds good, man. Let's dive into some of these results. You mentioned, what's his first name? Garcia, who won the Greco?
Yeah, Brennan Garcia.
Brennan Garcia. He also, because I followed the tournament, he also took second to Malik in freestyle. Does Malik not do Greco, or is he just not as good at it?
Actually. Malik is a phenomenal athlete. Malik, he was at the freestyle world team camp and couldn't make it in time, and he could only do freestyle. So he was at the world. Malik is the freestyle world team member. Malik is probably one of the most phenomenal wrestlers that I've ever been around. I coached Malik for a couple of years, and right now he's under the tutelage of Ike Anderson, another great Greco coach, freestyle coach, done great things with developmental programs all over the country with the OTC, and so he happened to be at the world team camp, so he wasn't able to make it for the Greco portion. He had to fly in and come for just the freestyle. So and Garcia, he had a phenomenal 2 tournaments. A national champ and a runner-up. That's very hard to achieve. As you can see, some of the other guys that were from Colorado that were national champs in one style, they either took 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. They didn't really take 1st and 2nd. Garcia is up there, in my opinion, as he had one of the best Colorado Fargo national tournaments that we could ask for.
Was he? Do these guys battle in high school, or are they different? What's it called? Different.
Yeah, they're actually different divisions. Yep, one is 4A and the other one is 5A. But they both were state champs. Phenomenal high school seasons. Malik's always been on the lighter side of weight, so he had a phenomenal. Even being lighter side, he was a state champ. Battled one of the toughest brackets of Colorado State. He had Moshe Schwartz, another world team member. He had Colton Yapusian, who actually won a national title this weekend. He had Rudy Yates, I think his name is, that took 2nd to him, that had beaten him previous. I mean, for that bracket in Colorado, that was one of the toughest state brackets that Malik won. Super proud of the guy. I mean, he does an awesome job. Good, hard worker. Never, ever. He'll give you 100% every day in the room. And that you can't say that a lot all the time,
Have they ever wrestled each other in Greco? Because we didn't get to see that at Fargo because Malik wasn't there.
No, I don't believe so. I believe the last time that him and Brennan had wrestled, Brennan had beat him, but it was in folk style. But I could be wrong. I'm not at every tournament. And I think that was 2 or 3 years ago. And they had a good freestyle battle. Brennan was coming strong. And then, but Malik gets on top of you, man. He can turn and turn and turn you until it's over. And that's that comes from, he's down at the OTC training a lot. Ike's got him down there doing a lot of good things with the OTC and training with different people down there, and it's pretty good. So
that's awesome. Well, if you tried to follow the Fargo tournament, you know that it was all live on Flow, and you had to have Flow Pro to get those. But what you can get access to are the interviews, so you can see Malik and Garcia's interviews on the USA Wrestling's YouTube channel. I'll also make them available on highschoolwrestlingmatches.com soon. And what I've been trying to do is find highlights that people filmed. And so whatever highlights I can find from Colorado, I'll put together in a video and make those available on highschoolwrestlingmatches.com later on. But let's keep going with some of these results. Before we go too far, though, is your daughter still around?
No, I think she went upstairs trying to keep the babies quiet during the podcast. You know how that goes.
No worries. I just wanted to introduce her because she's an All-American. Am I right?
Yeah. She took 6th, got injured in the semis, lost to another girl who'd been training with us. Alex Lyles from Texas had been with us for 45 days. She won both cadet and juniors. Really phenomenal from Texas. She came down and started training with us about 45 days out, and trained with us. It was a tough loss, but it was well deserved. The person that worked a little bit harder got that award. Jersey was a national champ last year in OW, and so she was definitely tough, missed weight by 2 pounds, so had to go up to 32. So sometimes that's a tough road, but it was good stuff.
Gotcha. And Jersey's your daughter?
Yeah, Jersey's my daughter. So
she won it last year? Yeah,
she won it as a first-year cadet and got OW, and then this year she took 6th. It's that's the hard thing with wrestling, to battle back from losses and to reevaluate where you're at, all the time. I mean, a lot of these guys from Colorado that placed, some of them didn't think they even had a chance to place, and they did. And then the guys that won it, a couple of people were expected to win it and they didn't. So you never know what you're going to get at Fargo. Fargo is just, every time I show up to Fargo, I see guys placing that I never thought would place, and guys that you're expecting to win. They take an L, they take a loss, and they learn to shrug it off or it defeats them for a long time. That's what I love about Fargo. I said that on Facebook. It's where it makes or breaks you. You find out. That's why college coaches are there. They want to find out what a kid's made of. If he loses in the semis, is he going to flop out and take 6th, or does he got the heart to come all the way back and take 3rd?
And it's fun to see. It's fun to see what happens with these kids after. I haven't been back to Fargo for years, and the last time I was back there, Kyler Sanderson, Cale Sanderson's little brother, was still in high school. He's a senior, and his weight had Kyler Sanderson, Brent Metcalf, and do you remember Jaggers from Ohio State, the 2-time national champ at Ohio State?
Yep.
They were all three in the same Fargo bracket, and this was back when they did the pools. Do you remember the pools?
Oh, man, I love the pools.
The pools were fun. So they were all three in the same pool. Jaggers was the ASIC Tiger Wrestler of the Year that year, so he was the guy that was supposed to win it, but then Metcalf was a national renowned wrestler, and then Kyler Sanderson was right there with him. And what happened is Kyler actually upset Metcalf, and then Metcalf upset Jaggers, but then Jaggers beat Sanderson, so Jaggers ended up winning the national championship. But there's cool stories like that. And then I was just on the other day doing some research for highschoolwrestlingmatches.com, and I found a match between Jaden Cox and Kyle Snyder at Fargo. So there's some crazy matches that happen out there that people don't realize how good the kids are until their careers play out, but it's pretty awesome.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you see some major NCAA players, getting in brackets at Fargo when they're younger and not even placing. I mean, some of them brackets are insane when you see them hanging from the kid. The kid's holding it at their chest and it's hanging below their feet. That's a feat above many other.
Oh yeah. I watched some brackets where kids went 8 rounds and didn't place,
Oh my gosh. That is the hardest thing. Every kid that loses first round, any kid who loses first round and comes back in place, that's who my hero is. Not the kid who made it on the front side and won the bracket. The kid who lost first round and came back to place. That's the statistics I want to see. Who lost first round and came back into third? That guy is the guy that's going to last. That's the hero of the tournament.
Do you know any of those? Can you think of any?
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a great that would definitely be a great podcast to talk to those guys. How was that to lose first round and then beat your way back all the way across the bracket? 128-man bracket, 12 matches to take third.
Yep. Yeah, that'd be cool. We'd have to go back and look at those brackets. Maybe I'll do that and do a future podcast about that. So what's your involvement with the Colorado women's wrestling?
So I'm the Colorado women's director, and so I'm in charge of all the women. And when I started, I've been on the board for 4 years. I started with, I think there was 4 or 5 girls that went, and every year Colorado has runner-ups, national champs, OWs every single year. Last year we had a pretty good year. I think we had 4 national champs, but this year was the first year we were able to participate in the duels. We started off with 10 girls, but Jersey and another girl, Marissa Gallegos, who took 5th in cadets, who was a runner-up last year, she got hurt also, and then we had another girl who got staph infection throughout the 3 days of wrestling cadets and juniors. So we started with 10, we were down to 7, but we still wrestled the duels, had some good matches. I mean, I believe, in my personal opinion, we have a very young cadet team. We took, I think, 7 cadets. In 2 more years, we're going to be a force to reckon with in the duels. All our girls are tough. They got a chance to take 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. So putting all them together, Emily Q, a double All-American in cadet and juniors. Coming back, we have Ashlyn Ortega, who won it last year. She took 2nd this year to a tough Aloe. Everybody knows who Aloe is, world champ. She went after her with everything she got. We have Marissa, Jersey. We have Zion Schwartz, who's a brand new wrestler, up and comer, won some matches in the duels. We have Jaslyn Gallegos. She didn't place in cadets, but she won most pins, which is, kind of odd because you think someone who won most pins would place, but, she pinned every girl that she wrestled. And so she won most pins for cadets. So we have a women's in Colorado, especially having Adeline Gray and, all these women coming out in the OTC. I just see us growing bigger and bigger. Each year we have more and more numbers. 10 is the most we've taken, I think, ever, or maybe one time we took 10, but 10 this year. So I look at us next year having 15 to 20 and, always trying to battle the infamous California, who has tons of girls and then wins everything. They're awesome. They're a great model for us to follow, and that's kind of what we try to do, is just follow their lead and get after it.
Is Adeline Gray from Colorado, or did you just mention that because she's at the OTC?
No, she's from Colorado originally.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, she was from Colorado originally, wrestled in high school here. So,
well, that's cool. Well, if you can, off the top of your head, if not, I'll find this and post it on my blog. But if you can, off the top of the head, who were your All-Americans in women's wrestling this year?
Our All-Americans were
cadet and junior, so both.
Yeah, starting with cadets, we had Emily Q. In fact, I think I have it here. Let me pull it up real quick.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Emily Q took second in 148 cadet and took fifth in 154 juniors. Then we had Jersey took sixth in 132. Marissa Gallegos took fifth in 115 in cadets. And then Ashlyn Ortega took second at, I believe, 139. I believe it's 139. She took second, and those were all our All-Americans at cadets and juniors for women.
That's awesome. I was at Fargo the first year they did girls wrestling, and there weren't this many girls wrestling, so that's awesome. So it means something now to be an All-American in women's wrestling because there's a lot of girls doing it now, and it's only getting bigger. For
sure. My daughter's been wrestling since she was 5. And I remember we would go all over the country and not find one girl that wrestled. And this year at Women's Folk Style Nationals in Oklahoma, she wrestled cadets and junior and had a 64 women bracket in both divisions. I mean, women's wrestling is growing by the hundreds. You know, my ultimate goal is women's Greco. When they start women's Greco, you'll never see me any other place than women's Greco. I will.
Why are you so passionate about women's Greco?
You know why? Because my girls, so I have 15 girls in my club, and we've always wrestled women's Greco. Jersey at schoolboy age took 4th in Greco in boys.
In the state of Colorado?
No, in the nationals at schoolboy.
In nationals, wow.
Yes, at schoolboy nationals she took 4th. That's her forte is Greco, and we don't have a chance to do it against girls. Actually, at Western Regionals in Idaho, they did women's Greco this year. They had like 210 girls. It was amazing. She got the, that's our club's forte. So it's like, it's like you being a jiu-jitsu specialist, but then not offering women's jiu-jitsu, and I have 4 daughters. I have a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old in Jersey who's 15. And all I want to do is Greco, but my girls can't do it with girls. So all we have to do is battle boys. My 10-year-old is placed at Kids Nationals for Greco. Jersey placed there, but we don't have an avenue to do it, And I would give up everything to have at Fargo women's Greco. And, Jersey actually got hurt, but she was actually signed up to do men's Greco at 126. But she got hurt in the semis, so she wasn't able to do it. We love Greco. We don't care who it is against, And so that's really my passion is Greco and to coach women. I do a good job with women. That's kind of how the girl Alex Lyles that I mentioned earlier from Texas, she had lost to Boyd, who she wrestled in the finals at 132 this year at Fargo, but she lost to her world team trials, got teched. And that's all we worked on was Greco. And then she script and quarter stepped and threw her left and right and teched her, all with Greco moves. Because that's how I knew we were going to win. Because women don't like to shoot. I can't explain it, but they don't like to take shots. A few girls shoot, but really it's about them. They like upper body. Their hips are meant for it. Greco was meant for women. And as soon as we get that figured out in Fargo, man, that's where I'm going to be at. I'm only going to Fargo for women's Greco, and then I'm going home.
You make a strong case for it. I think it was during Fargo that I actually saw somebody posted an article that they're talking about doing it at the Olympic level. And I think that'll be the key, I think. I think when that happens at the Olympic level, then they'll introduce it at the lower levels for sure.
Yeah, I saw that same thing, and I posted I want to be at the top of that mountain.
Maybe you're the one that posted the one I saw.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, well, I've got the results here, but let's see what –
I can run through some results real quick just to
let's just hear the names of your All-Americans, cadets and junior men's.
Yeah, for sure.
Greco.
Yeah, our cadet director is Luke Morris, and he kind of helps out and runs everything. He sent me the list of everything. He does a phenomenal job in Colorado. He's been ahead of cadets and juniors until this year, where JD Ninette took over for juniors. But Luke is the man as far as really helping out. So our cadet Greco is Therius Robeson, took first. Patrick Alice, another person who is under Ike Anderson, took second. Did a phenomenal job. Colton Schultz took third. Faustin Lopez took fifth. Brody Lamb took eighth. Keegan Feenstra took eighth also. In junior Greco, we had Brendan Garcia took first. Ryan Deacon took first. Kamal Bay took second, and that's only due to an injury because everybody knows who Kamal is. And Kamal is with he's over with TC Dantzler doing an awesome job. He would have won it, but he had tore a muscle, so he couldn't finish. Jordan Martinez.
What weight was he?
Kamal Bay, I believe he was 170 or 182, one of those two. But he had to forfeit in the finals, so they actually didn't even get to wrestle in the finals because he got hurt. And he's also a world team member, so they weren't going to mess around with that. You know, TC takes that very serious, so they pulled him for that match. Jordan Martinez took fifth. Chris Sandoval took sixth. For cadet freestyle, we have Colton Yapusian, who wrestles for Mile High, took first. Colton Schultz took first. Andrew Alvarez took third. Therius Robeson took fourth. Wyatt Yapusian fifth. Joe Greenwood sixth. And Andy Garcia sixth. And for our junior freestyle, we have Malik Heinzelman took first. Brendan Garcia took second. Ryan Deacon took fifth. Hunter Willits took seventh. You know, and out of all those All-Americans we have, if you notice, we do have a lot of double All-Americans. And that I truly believe that's because we focus so much on Greco, the state of Colorado does.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a lot of All-Americans, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. I mean, we had at least 5 All-Americans for cadets, 5 All-Americans for juniors. Some were 7 and 8. You know, I think it was a total of with cadet and juniors, both styles, it was over 25 All-Americans.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. That's yeah. Put that in perspective. Utah. That's where I'm at. Utah had 19 between the two. And that was an okay showing. And so if you guys are hitting 25, that's killer, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, man, I always like to do this. There's 2 more things I want to talk about quick, and then we'll wrap up.
No.
First is you were there all week, right? So you saw all the tournaments.
You cut out though.
Were you in Fargo the whole week?
Yes, I was. I was there from the day we showed up on Friday for women's to the day we left on Saturday.
All right, choose one moment, one story, because the stories are what make wrestling great. One story from Fargo that you want to share that just captures the passion and it was a fun or motivating or whatever. You choose the story.
Is this a Colorado story or is this just an overall story?
Whatever you want. If it's a Colorado story, awesome. That would fit because it's a Colorado podcast. But if there was some other story that kind of caught your eye that's worth sharing, go for it.
This is probably an odd story. Some people may not even like me sharing it, but so there's a little place, a little get-together down the street called the Turf he goes to, and it burned down. And there's some people been going there for 18, 20 years, you know, and so that was kind of just the odd thing of it burned down. It didn't burn all the way down, but there's some people, all the coaches go to kind of hang out, talk about the day, how it worked, you know, and just get along with each other, you know, and some people you'd never even be friends with. That's where you became friends. It was like the turf, you know, it was like the middle ground where you just, guys you didn't like, you'd still be like, hey, how's it going? Let's, you know, talk some wrestling. Your guy beat mine today. And when that burned down, that was probably the oddest thing. People came up and were just like, did you hear? You know, and it's historical. You know, it's the place of Fargo. It's where the coaches get together, and that burned down, and people were devastated. Like I told them, I said, it's time to move Fargo then. Turf's gone, you know?
So what's the comment? You got a new one or no?
Huh?
Do you have a new did they have for coaches?
No, man. That's how important it was. People just didn't hang out. They didn't go nowhere. They just said, go to bed. It's a sad day, you know? That's my sad story of the tournament, and probably the best part of the tournament was watching Therius Robeson for Colorado and Andrew Alvarez, they call him Boo, battle it out twice in the same bracket and trade 1 for 1. You know, I respect Boo. more than most people probably understand. Even though we wrestled him twice, we beat him the first time with Therius, and then he beat us. He's a phenomenal wrestler. And honestly, I know Boo. He doesn't cut weight. He wrestles his true weight, and that's a true testament of a guy's strength. He believes in himself. You can look at Boo, and he believes in himself, and he knows who he is, and he's not scared to battle anybody at that. That was probably for Colorado. That to me was a true testament of our state champs. We had 2 state champs battle each other. The only losses, that Boo took was one to Therius, and then he revenged it. And everybody was still cool. We were still family. We still know each other. Everybody was okay with it, and it was a great win and loss for both of us. And so, as far as Colorado, that really showed me the true heart of Colorado, that we can be all the way across the country, still battle each other, and still be good. Much respect to Alvarez and his club and his family and everything that he does.
That's cool, man. So that's at least 2 weights then that Colorado had 2 All-Americans fight each other.
Oh yeah, they battled each other in the quarters, and then it definitely. I think in the future you're going to find more and more Colorado people losing only to each other, especially in Greco.
That's cool. That's a good story. Yeah. So were there any other double All-Americans, meaning not meaning Greco and freestyle? Were there any other weights where Colorado had more than 1 All-American at the weight? Because you had, what weight was that you just told the story from?
That was 120s.
So 120s, and then you had 2 finalists at 100 pounds in freestyle. You had Malik and Garcia, right?
Yeah, you had Malik and Garcia, and then I believe we had I'm trying to think. Greenwood took 6th in 126, and I'm trying to think who else was there.
Are we talking freestyle, or we're talking juniors or cadets?
He was and Brody Lamb. I think Brody Lamb took 8th in cadets, Greco, and that was Therius's weight class at 120s, okay. I believe. I could be wrong there. I think that is the case. I'm not for sure.
No, that's a sweet showing. I would pull it up and check it, except for the internet. We keep glitching out, so I don't want to confuse it by pulling it up. But anybody who wants to look at those in more detail, they're all on trackwrestling.com. You just go to Track Wrestling. You click on tournaments or browse, then tournaments. You find, and then team results and choose Colorado or whatever team you want to look at for that. Okay, now the last question, and then we'll wrap up the show. I like to do this with new guests. Best wrestler ever from Colorado?
I've only been here 7 years, so I think I would be pretty biased in this opinion as far as the best wrestler from Colorado. So I'm going to right now defer to I'm going to right now say, I don't know. It's a 3-way tie, man. Malik Heinzelman, last Fargo champ, and Greco. He is state champ. Moshe Schwartz won the Triple Crown last year. He wasn't able to go because he broke his finger 3 days before camp and got Mercer in his finger, so he couldn't come. And then you got Colton Schultz, who's the #1 sophomore in the country. Took 3rd. Last year he won Greco, took 2nd in freestyle. This year he took 3rd in Greco, won freestyle. They're up-and-comers, so that people are going to say, hey, this guy back in the day won 4 state titles, but titles don't mean nothing compared to Fargo titles. So if we're going by Fargo titles, who's won the most? Malik's probably in the lead. So maybe I'll just say it now. Malik Heinzelman is the greatest Colorado wrestler in Colorado. He won the most so far. So he's won 3 stop signs. I don't know if anybody from Colorado can beat that. Maybe someone can come on and say, you're wrong, Jeff. So-and-so won 5 stop signs. But until then, right now we're saying Malik Heinzelman, who's won 3 stop signs.
There you go. It's an endless debate.
Actually, Malik Heinzelman won 4. So we're going to count it at 4. He won a freestyle one previous, then he won 2 last year, then he won 1 this year. Malik Heinzelman's won 4, and he's a state champ. Anybody wants to debate it, please give me a call, 618-781-8713.
Is he done? Does he have one more year? Or
Yeah, he's got 2 more years, I believe. He'll be a junior next year.
So he could win at least 2 more. He could end with 6.
He can win 4 more. He can win freestyle and Greco next year. Freestyle and Greco.
Twice.
He can win 8.
Okay. All right.
So.
It's been said. Malik Heinzelman is the best ever from Colorado. All right. Hey, So Ill, Jeffrey Estrada here with us tonight. Thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it. Hey, feel free to, you want to tell anybody how to get to your website, check out your gear?
Yeah, it's pretty much all underground, man. You got to go to flickr.com, look up So Ill Wrestling Gear. And Flickr's an underground trading and site for kids and adults and everybody. It's the wrestling community relies on that with trading gear, selling shoes, everything you could ever want. That's really where we are all at. And if you want to check out what we do, it's sotacademy.com. You can see what we're doing in Colorado at the school and everything. CUSAW maps out everything we do in Colorado as far as a whole. You can go to cowrestling.com and check out the news for what everybody's doing as far as individuals and teams and tournaments. And you can just check us out. Colorado's on the uprise. People don't even realize it. We're going to take over Greco in the next 2 or 3 years.
Hey, I didn't realize it. So thanks for your time, man. We will talk later. And again, guys, go to highschoolwrestlingmatches.com. Up at the top, click on free wrestling moves. Be sure to sign up for the daily dose. That's a daily email we send with wrestling technique videos. And after this interview, I'm motivated to put more Greco in there than we currently got. So
that's what I'm talking about.
So all right, we'll see you.
Yep.